Hi there, welcome back to the channel. So, I'm in a really good mood because everything has gone so well with my tracks. In fact, I think these are the best tracks I've ever recorded. By far the best drum tracks, the best guitar tracks, and the best bass guitar. So hopefully I'll be putting down the best vocal ever too, at least for me. So I'm really excited. And I wanted to just quickly review some of the post-production stuff I do. Very simple, very minimal. Especially with as good as the tracks sound, I don't want to mess with it too much. I don't usually, but this time for sure I don't want to do much. Like I don't really want to do much noise reduction. I didn't want to do any compression. I mean, it was just sounding so right. I didn't have to amplify anything. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's the updated software, but I think it's just the accumulation of knowledge, you know, just time in the saddle, you know. Sitting behind home plate long enough, you start getting better at it. So stick with your projects. They start to sound better the longer you work. Okay, so what I've done, let me just show you something really quickly if you've never watched any of these post-production videos on the Zoom. What's kind of neat about the Zoom is it comes with this little proprietary kind of USB cable. It's got like the square end, the little square end, and then it has like the usual USB connection. But if you grab the Zoom, I've got it in battery power mode, it's completely powered off, but if you plug this in like this, make sure you've got it aligned properly, and then when you attach it to the computer you'll see it light up. You don't even have to have it powered on or anything. See, pops to life, and it gives you the option. It'll say audio interface or reader. So you go down and you hit enter for reader, hard drive pops up. I'm going to unplug it and not actually connect it because I've already done the work. I just wanted to show you that connection because that's handy, and I think it uses the least amount of battery power if you're running on battery. And then when you disconnect, it just turns off again as soon as you drag the HD icon off of, you know, into the trash on a Mac and eject it here. You want to always do that so you don't damage your data, you know, mess something up. I hate it when I see that alert that you've not ejected the disk properly. It's really feels like a very bad scolding. Okay, so I've got some video footage of the work that I did. I've got it down to the most simple amount of work. A little bit of noise reduction, classic filter, high pass filter, set at 100 and 100 hertz, and another one at 40 hertz, and that's about it. No compression, none of that stuff. Okay, here's what we're doing. What you do is you connect to your Zoom, right? You're going to open up that little hard drive thing. Well, I jumped ahead here. Let me go back. So I'm going to snap on that, and then I go through looking for audio. You open up audio on the track that you're looking for. Mine's called We Know. Now, a quick note. You can get really confused if you don't do a little research first. Let's say you've recorded 4 drums, and then you recorded some more drums, and then you recorded some guitars, and you only used the 4 drum tracks that were from the second recording, right? Well, that means you still got like 6 tracks in there that are going to say mono 000, mono 001, and so on and so forth. So what you do to avoid confusion once you go to the computer is you'll go to the track button here, click on it, and make sure you know which track you just recorded, what its actual name is, if you didn't actually name it. I never name my tracks. I name all the projects, but I usually just record the track, drag it in, and then I'll name it after I do the work in the Audacity program. So what you're going to want to do, so you don't get confused, now this might not be an issue for you. If you just recorded the tracks, they're brand new and you don't have anything else on the machine, you'll know that those are the only tracks that you have to worry about. But if you've got 6 or 7 or 8 other tracks and you forgot when you did them and what they are, it gets confusing really quickly. You'll have to disconnect and go back in here and try to sort it all out. So, save yourself some hassle. Go to the track button. Let's say I know I recorded just on this first row. I'll go on the track button and just make an account of what each track is and the name of it. And then I went over here, made a little file, and typed them up. As you can see the file here, that I just quickly typed them up so that when I got into the computer, I would know which files that I want. And that's kind of, I get confused easily. This might not be a thing for you, and your memory is so good you'll know exactly what you're looking at. For me, it gets I get lost. So I like to have some notes so I'll know which track to pull in. Alright, in my case, it's going to be mono 000, and I just drag it straight over to that Audacity icon. That pops Audacity to life, pulls the track in, and look at that beautiful track. Ah, I love it. The levels are just right. I'm going to do just a quick little bit of noise reduction just to get a dB of extra sound out of the room, you know, that's not productive to anything. This room is not perfectly sound treated, so there's some nasties. And then once you do that, sorry. Once you do that, you're going to just listen to it back, make sure it's okay. Now I'm going to silence this area. On a Mac, it's Command L. You go up here to generate and hit silence. Okay. That kills that. Now it's dead quiet. That way it's like muted. I don't do the end because I want to fade at the end with all the tracks. And I don't always do this. I don't do it with drums, just with guitars, because later I can clean up that intro when I'm doing the master, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm checking to make sure everything's okay. Sounds good. The last little bit of work that I do on these tracks post-production is I'm going to go to the classic filters. You go up to Effect. Looks like I'm going to search for it for a while. Nope, 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 not there, not there. Oh, there it is, classic filters. And then it's set at 40 Hertz at this point because I think I did that for my bass drum. And I'm going to go to 100 for guitars and really pull out any extra hash that's not necessary, that low end stuff that just puts a little mud in there. And man, these guitars sound so much better. I mean, it's subtle, but if you're the one who did it, you can hear it, especially with headphones on. Okay, so I test the volume again. The levels are perfect. I wouldn't touch a thing at this point. No amplification, no compression, no funny business, no EQ or reverb. All the EQ I'll need will be in the Zoom, and I'll just add maybe a little bit of everything, I guess. Who knows? We'll just see how it sounds. So everything's good here. Now let me just see. Now, the next thing we do is we export audio. You don't have to save the file unless you want to. And you make sure, this is important, the Zoom only recognizes WAV files at 16-bit. If you do 24-bit, it won't know what it is. You'll have to convert it. It's no big deal, but it's kind of frustrating if you've made a track. If you've done something to the track and you save it incorrectly, it literally will not go into the Zoom. The Zoom won't know what to do with it. So you have to use WAV, the Microsoft signed 16-bit PCM. And I have to remember that because sometimes mine's set for the Apple one because that's what you have to use for Final Cut Pro editing. So these videos, I have to have one format for the Zoom, another. Okay, so I make sure to click that, and then I'm going to rename it so now it won't be confusing inside the Zoom. And I think I called this one Guitar Left or something like that, just because it'll be on the right. I mean, it'll be on the left channel, and the other one will be on the right channel. And I usually pan them out like 40 or so on each way, up to 50, depending on, you know, if it gives me that bigger stereo sound. So I don't save the changes, and I'm just going to get out of here and drag it to the trash, which ejects it. Later, I'll drag that track in. Usually I drag the track in right at that moment. I just pull it into the audio file. I forgot to do it, so I show you how I do it later with all the tracks. Okay, that's the end of that one. Okay, now Guitar 2, I did a video on this one as well. It's exactly the same steps. The only difference is I just wanted to show you how this one has two separate things on the track. So I'm dragging over to Audacity. This one was called, shoot, what's this one called? I can't see the name of it. It was called Mono 002. Now look here. This is the little solo riff and also the little extra bit that's part of the outro. So there's nothing here all the way up to 2:15. Then you see the little moment where I play, some more dead space, and then this area here. So what I want to do is clean up this dead space here make so there's no sound, and clean up all the sound before it, even though I didn't actually hit record until right before it. But I will go ahead and silence the whole track. So that's what I'm going to do here. I just test to make sure everything's sounding great, and man, that sounds great too, the little riff solo. I love this little outro thing. That ended up sounding really springy and alive, so I'm testing that. So basically what I do is just silence it. You can do that Command L, or you just go up here to generate and hit silence, but I drag it all the way over, silence everything that way. Then I'm going to silence everything after kind of the moment that the guitar sort of fades out. There's like a little feedback that sort of fades out into the track. I just kind of eliminated that at the point where it sort of becomes just noise and there's no longer any musical diminishing happening. It's just becoming like feedback and room tone. I clipped it there. Testing this one to make sure everything is okay. And then we have our filters. I'm doing the same kind of thing. I'm getting both of them at 100, and that improved both of those tremendous. I mean, subtly, but feels like a big improvement in my mind. Now I'm going to retitle this one Guitar Right, because this will sit on the, and I call it the riff, and I think I put end, so that means riff for the lead and end as the closer, just so that I remember this encapsulates all the other guitar bits in one track, which also saves track space. That's an old trick from tape. You would record in any empty space, any instrument, you know, because you only had 4 tracks or 8 tracks or whatever. Okay, before you start bouncing. Okay, so now that's the end of that one. That was guitar 2, and the only difference, I did the same stuff with that one. The high pass cleanup, a little noise reduction, silencing anything. The only difference is I want to show you how it sits on the track. That's kind of interesting. It's an old tape trick where you could, I could have had all kinds of parts and that dead space in the beginning of different instruments if I had limited amount of tracks. And I still kind of adhere to that because tracks pile up quickly. Okay, let me see what else did I do here. Okay, I did bass guitar. Okay, so the bass guitar video, remember this was a direct recording, so I dragged the file in just like I have all the other ones. That one looks really good for a bass file. That's nice and thick, and it's exactly where I want it. Don't have to amplify, don't have to do anything. So same story. Do oops, cancel. That was, I hit normalize. Don't want to do that. Instead, we go to noise reduction. Once again, do the little noise reduction, and then from there the classic filters. I'm not doing much of these tracks, like I said. I'm doing some silencing at the beginning. After that, I go to, and this one I cut to 100. I think I cut to 100. I tested it. Yeah, I tested it at 100, and it felt like it just lost some of its deepness, its low endness. So I went back and did 40. And I think 40 just sort of represents the tone better. It didn't lose so much of that low end, but it got rid of the stuff that starts to build up that isn't really good sound. It's like noise. And it's more like a bass presence. Hard to describe, but it starts to build up in the corners of the room, if you know what I mean. Okay, so after all that, we're going to go to export audio, same drill. I'm going to rename it bass GTR, I believe, yeah. And then make sure we're in, our file type is a WAV 16-bit, and off we go. WAV, if you're not supposed to say it. It's not a WAV file, it's a WAV file. Okay, now, let's see. Got a couple of other videos. I want to just see what else I did here. This one says Zoom file. I can't remember what this is. Okay, here I'm showing you how at the end. So we have the audio here, and I click on the audio just to make it easier, because sometimes when you drag things over, it'll stick it in the wrong spot if you're not careful. So I just open the audio folder. I click on that, and then you can see I'm going to lasso all these tracks that I recorded, drag them over. And then you have to kind of sit there and wait for them to, and my computer takes forever, but you got to wait for those tracks to come in, and now they're actually sitting in the Zoom, so that when you go to assign the tracks, you'll see these tracks that you've doctored, that you fixed up. Now you're not going to use the mono 00, whatever it is. You're going to use these new tracks with the new titles on them, and it just makes it a lot easier. You'll be able to tell which tracks are the ones you've doctored and which ones are the originals. I love it. Alright, and then finally it goes to the trash, but make sure you wait until it's done there, then hit exit here, wait till that's done completely, and then disconnect the cabling. Otherwise it'll give you that, you know, admonition, like you disconnected incorrectly, and there goes all your data. Next time.